Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm with Astrid, and she will take us into a place where, as above, so it is below. Greetings and welcome, Astrid. How are you?
Greetings and welcome, Hercules, and all of our listeners out there. Doing fine, making changes here. We set forth plans. We don't always follow them exactly. We try. This transition from autumn into later autumn and pre-winter. The weather today, we woke up to mixed precipitation. It didn't stay, but it's a matter of that there's changes, and the time you think you have to do things, you have to jump on it because before you know it, it's going to be too cold to do some of these outside duties that have to be done
Yeah, the winter is upon us.
already. Yeah, we've had the heat on a couple nights in the 20s. So this is the way it is. It's happening. We've had a few winters in the past where they were very mild, but every year is different, and you have to be prepared for the very fact that anything can happen.
That is very true and very difficult to do. We like our consistency, we like our routines.
Hmm. And control and unexpected situations. Perfect for the topic of period of transitions. The last time we spoke, we focused on harvest, the change of seasons, the beginning from summer into autumn. We discussed the influence of celestial changes. We had lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, the autumnal equinox, whereas day and night were equal, and then the move to a minute more of each day less of sunlight and more of nighttime. So now we saw the time change thrust upon us, 1 hour less of sun. Our bodies struggling to adjust to schedules. And about 2 weeks ago, we had more planetary shifts. Uranus re-entered Taurus, where presently is there now, but it previously resided from March 2019 to July 2025. And it will so remain until April 25th, 2026, which then it will move into Gemini for good. At this point, you have Uranus and Neptune and Saturn. They've all moved back to their long term homes. So the rest of the year will feel like we're going back in time, especially with Mercury in retrograde. So we have that as well. And that will remain so until the end of the month, I think the 29th. And here we go. It's the preparations being laid down for more changes in the next chapter of our lives starting in 2026. So it's time to reflect upon changes that have occurred in the past 7 years. It's a 7 year cycle. The winter solstice occurs on December 21st, and that's when we start moving closer to the spring equinox. The winter solstice, it will be the point of like the longest night and the shortest day. But after that point, we start moving towards a little bit more of sunlight. And that's such a paradox, Hercules, because it gets colder. It's the beginning of winter.
I'm still having a difficult time believing 25 years have gone into this new century. A quarter of it is more than over.
I know. It's time is so fleeting. And then we talk about dimensions. So you talk about time fleeting and moving so quickly, and maybe it is because, the Earth's spinning faster or we're getting older. I can't decide if it's a combination or which one of it. Maybe it is just a blend. And then we're more aware of all the different dimensions that are occurring simultaneously. So we're never just standing in one place. There's a multitude of things going on. So here we go. Colder weather, storms, moving inward, being protected, major changes. Another major change. Just when you think, you're adjusting, then it comes another change. That's the way it is. Oh, another change happening. The penny is officially done.
Yes, that's
Gone.
sad.
No longer to be minted. I couldn't believe, Hercules, the cost to mint a penny has risen to more than 3 cents.
Really? I
Yeah. And it is the penny's 232 years old. So there we go. There goes that pendulum. We move away from that middle of supposed normalcy, and now the penny will be gone. And same with the equinox, that center, the pendulum found center. And now we'll be looking at the winter solstice coming up. And so that it is, the pendulum keeps swinging into action. The winter solstice is the shortest day, the longest night, as said before. The North Pole is tilted the farthest away from the sun. The official start of winter, yet the days will be longer each day until the summer solstice in June. And I'm always mesmerized by the ceremonies that take place all over the world, particularly in England at Stonehenge. You know, how they're allowed to get together, meet there, and have all of their rituals and ceremonies and celebrations. It's just so beautiful. You know, it's I've never been there during that time. I've been there, but never during that actual moment where people gather and at that sacred place of stones.
That's always been on my bucket list, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen this time around. Next,
I hear you. Maybe another lifetime.
yeah,
And then tomorrow we have the new moon in Scorpio. Tomorrow morning, it arrives with deep transformative energy, inviting us to turn inward and clear space for what is next. You know, it's a sign of rebirth, truth seeking, emotional alchemy, highlights of the moon closely tied to Mercury. So here we go when we're in Mercury retrograde. So again, here we go. It's that concept of transition, making changes. With Mercury in retrograde, they're saying nothing major, not a major pouncing ahead, but being introspective and really thinking it out. You know, it's not the matter that things are holding us back. It's that you have to first go inward, and the truths you've avoided speaking, the parts of yourself ready to transform, you need to do some journaling, have some quiet moments asking yourself what needs to be released, even though it's the new moon, and get yourself ready. Get rid of the emotional clutter. And I like that terminology, the
me too.
emotional clutter.
Yeah, we tend to accumulate things to reflect the bits and pieces of who we are. And
Definitely. And it changes. It changes with, with age, as we both know, with health, with familial situations, with birth, death, people moving away. There are all these things that we need to review and come to terms with. I had a talk with a friend of mine, and you're aware, you know her too, and she was just talking about the emotional clutter of past issues with family. And so many things are determined by our inner child, things that we think that we've resolved, but we haven't. And then there's always the karmic situations that have gone through different lifetimes that we have to have resolution for as well. So, yeah. And this seems to be the time, whether it is that introspective time because of seasonal change, um, the celebration of the solstice coming up, all those eclipses where people haven't dealt with all that trauma and going in and weeding things out and decluttering to make way for we've been in a prep mode actually now since September. So it's not an easy thing to sweep away. It's not easy. And then sometimes we think we've dealt with it and something happens and we rear our backs up and say, "Whoa, I can't believe that this is coming back to haunt me yet once again." And it's all the way around. You're looking and see all the changes that are going on. It happens on so many levels, internally, externally, politically,
mhm.
financially. So many people are going through so much. And people want some control back, and they feel like everything has been taken away from them,
Yes.
that they voted or they done this or that, or they had hoped for major change. Oh, there were changes, all right. And maybe it didn't quite swing, the pendulum didn't swing their way, or in a way that they weren't expecting. We saw this with this last election, that people came out and voted big time, and there were major shifts. You and I always say this with every election, that people will vote based on emotion, to the very fact that they've lost control or they want to see major change and transformation. And that's what happened this time. We had four major races. We had the New York mayoral race. We had two major governorships, one in Virginia and one in New Jersey, that both went to women and to Democrats. We had Proposition 50 in California, which was a redistricting measure
Hmm.
on the ballot, where voters said, yes, we want changes in order to, here we go, that balance again, to counter the GOP led gerrymandering by the Republicans in other states, which I don't know if you're aware, but the courts just struck down the gerrymandering that was supposed to take place in Texas.
Yes, I heard.
Basically, they said that it was racist and that it was being done. I think it involved 5 seats, and which would have been taken away from the Democrats and given to the Republicans strictly for control, because they're looking at the next election to come, and they want control over the way the election goes. And people just, I'm glad that there are major movements to bring a lot of charges up to the courts, and lawsuits, major lawsuits as well, against people's rights. But I think the driving force with this last election was affordability.
Yes.
That was the major concern.
The reaction to affordability too has been very surprising to me. I never thought I'd hear words strung together about something as basic as affordability as I have.
Right, right. Because I mean, you talk about your necessities, food, shelter, clothing. And I was reading magazines, a couple of great articles concerning major stores having to close some of their shops. I mean, most of these places, when it was the boom years, they were expanding like crazy. Do you really need that many stores? But again, in their mind, that if the profitability factor will go up due to proximity, people won't have to go as far, and the more stores you have, the more money you're going to make. And they were saying that Christmas is going to be very lean. People are not spending. Home Depot saw a major loss because people are not doing major renovations. They can't afford it.
Right.
They're not doing it. They're putting off whatever they can, and clothes shopping and toy shopping for Christmas is going to be very lean. But they said more Macy stores are going to close. Kroger's, a few Kroger's, Target, quite a few stores you wouldn't have expected. Walmart has been complaining, I'm sure, because of their profit factor. They saw a major loss of money with the tariffs, because as we know, they import most of their things, and they also were involved. Like now, they're in deep trouble with a lot of recalls with food, with their particular brand, because who knows where they access from in terms of different countries. And so and the laws aren't as stringent in some of these countries,
And maybe
so there have been recalls
countries
for food.
aren't very stringent. I'm a type 2 diabetic and I have other things, I have Parkinson's and so forth. So I'm studying diet very closely because diet plays a role in the things that I personally am wrestling with.
Mm,
The amount of things you need to look out for has gotten ridiculously expansive. So
most definitely, as you said, food,
are addicted
medications.
to stuff on my life.
um, I always swear by, EWG. They
Yes,
are very, very big with the laws about uh, laws about pesticides and the various type of pesticides, and most of these pesticides are illegal in other countries, except for the ones that we say that are no-nos, but we sell them to, South America, Central America, Mexico. So it's very important to see where your food is being purchased from, because what pesticides are being used there? Were they sold by the United States because they didn't want to lose money, and we're not allowed to have those? But there are very many that are there now that are here, I should say, that are very toxic, and EWG points them out. Matter of fact, they just came out with a study about, was it paraquat? And they're saying that it's so dangerous, and they really feel, the studies are showing that it's responsible for a rise in Parkinson's in this country.
Yes, and those type of chemicals are in golf courses, which are all over the place here in the gardens.
Right, right. So
Uh,
you don't know where those particular chemicals are, and now you have to be in charge of researching these type of things.
right.
Where is the origins, and what are they, and where are they being utilized, and where are you going in terms of being exposed to them? So yeah, it's really frightening. It really is. So affordability is a big issue.
It,
People have spoken and they have been heard. And I noticed that with the voting, all of these races, they were saying we're going to be very tight. And Mikey Sherrill has the governor-elect position now with close to 57% of the vote. And it was supposed to be neck and neck with the possibility of her losing. Not so. Same with Virginia. Spanberger got a nice little breather there of a margin. And she even had her lieutenant governor, who is a Muslim. So we're seeing some transitions and changes in people fighting, pushing back to the negativity, to the hate, to the being totally ignored, totally ignored. And the other thing besides that is the food. You go to the supermarket every time you go, the that ticket, that receipt is higher and higher, and the
yes.
bags are less and less. I noticed that there was a big issue with the beef. I remember growing up, and there would be moments when you couldn't really afford much because maybe one of your parents was laid off from work, like in our household every once in a while. And oh, well, we'll have hamburger a couple times a week. Not anymore, because the price of beef is totally insane.
Yeah, I remember
Totally.
steaks when I was a bachelor. When I was living the bachelor life, I remember steaks were like the best thing to get, and they were dirt cheap. Even with the T-bone steaks,
Right.
and that
Right.
have steaks and vegetables mostly, and it was affordable. And now they're very expensive, and I still have beef because it's the best thing for me to be eating on the ketone or the carnivore type diets that I do best with. But it's
Sure.
very expensive, and so it's not an everyday thing anymore.
No, and I looked the other day just to check it out. I mean, $30 for a steak.
Yep.
I was like, my jaw just dropped. So you're seeing the prices go up, and then of course the tariffs with certain food. Supposedly, we shall see. There's going to be, the president is feeling the squeeze now because of the way the elections went. And he's saying, well, maybe people need a little help. Well, that was your platform when you got in, that things were going to be affordable, and they haven't been. And with the tariffs, I have friends in business, small businesses that are saying that they can't even access certain things because it isn't cost effective to get it, or the people won't even sell it because of the tariff wars. You're having countries that are having a pushback saying, well, we just won't do business with the United States.
Right.
I think we'd rather work with Japan or Scandinavia right now, right? Which is the case with Canada, and they're not visiting because we have a very big snowbird population from Canada that comes to the warmer states, that there's this refusal to give money to America for the gameplay. And that's a transition too. It may work in the beginning, frightening people, but then there's a pushback. And the world leaders and a lot of these governments and countries have been around way longer than we have. They know how to play the game. And this art of the deal doesn't always work because this yes, no, maybe so on the private sector may work, but it doesn't work on the public sector. All that's going to do is create isolationism. And people will just say, well, I'm not playing your game. I'll refuse to trade with you, or I'll get this product here or there. So now we're looking at supposedly buying beef from Argentina. And that's a little wheeling and dealing going on because I forgot how many billions that we're giving them in aid to shore up their economy. Meanwhile, we don't have money to pay for people's insurance or SNAP payments or back payment of with the shutdown. And of course, the cattle ranchers are upset. And their attitude is, well, wait a minute, you're going to be importing beef from other countries. What about us? So there is a lot of pushback in a multitude of areas right now.
Well, also the feedback that keeps coming back from other countries is they don't trust us anymore because
No,
we're no longer
no.
consistent or predictable. They don't know what we're going to do.
Right. And there's also the code of ethics and code of conduct when you're doing business. Well, there used to be. And of course, there's always little undercurrents of wheeling and dealing, but never on a massive scale and never with threatening, um, with the threatening of people that if you don't do things my way, this is what's going to happen. Matter of fact, I've got to find this because it's to just blow you away. Um, there was something in terms of where is it? Here we go. We gotta look now. A great article related to what's going on in other countries, and I'm going to have to search through it now. And it was in relation to what's going on. It wasn't supposedly a big deal. Here it is, the climate measure. And we were accused of being bullies. And I'll read you a little bit about it. It was really interesting. We've had all these climate meetings, and this is in relation to supposedly not a big deal, but it ended up being a big deal. So there was a major plan, and it was in relation to where is it here now? Um, the Trump administration has made it clear its opposition towards global climate policies because they feel it will harm fossil fuel interests, promoting the sale of US produced oil, gas, and coal is a top priority. Well, there were diplomats from other countries ready to vote for this plan that involves shipping fees. And it says here, under the deal, large cargo ships would have paid a fee if their carbon dioxide emissions exceeded a certain level. The standard would get stricter over time, encouraging the industry to move away from oil based shipping fuel to cleaner options. The leading shipping lobby supported it, as did Britain, Canada, the EU, Japan, China, and supposedly the United States until Mr. Trump returned to office. Chris Wright, the energy secretary, said he and other Trump administrative officials were told the approval of the maritime fee was a foregone conclusion. Well, not so, because he decided, and Marco Rubio, to push their weight around and threaten people. So it did not happen. All of these countries had agreed to do this, including us, when Biden was president. And a week before the agreement was expected to pass, Mr. Rubio, Mr. Wright, and Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, ratcheted up the warnings, releasing a statement that promised all visa restrictions, all fees and penalties that was supporting this European-led, listen to this word, neo-colonial export
Oh
of
no,
global climate regulations. They weren't going to tolerate it. So what ended up happening is the nations voted on October 17th. They voted 57 to 49 to delay the decision by 1 year. How about that? And they said it was frightening. Visa denials, wouldn't be able to go to the UN General Assembly meetings. And they said, I've never heard of the US government explicitly threatening to revoke visas of diplomats whose government voted the wrong way, meaning the way they didn't want. So it's frightening.
it is.
It's
It's
really
very
frightening.
concerning.
So this is why there are such issues with countries not trusting us, not seeing us as their great ally anymore because of incidences like this. It's embarrassing. It really is. It's utterly embarrassing.
It is embarrassing, and also it's concerning because I'm not an environmental scientist. I took environmental classes in high school, but that was a long time ago. So I'm not an expert, but I would think that we need to evolve past the fossil fuels and the coal and things like that to keep our planet alive and viable and unpolluted. Because
Exactly. And you're seeing,
for life, so do all other living things.
of course, and you're seeing so many repercussions already. So I mean, it's unbelievable. Um, and looking at that, one of the big topics, and we've talked about this previously on your podcast, was the cost of electricity and how it's powered. And you saw that becoming a very important issue in the New Jersey governor's race. And I had to chuckle with the way they're talking about things. You know, Mikey Sherrill was talking about looking at more sustainable ways of doing things and looking at solar and wind, which is very big in Scandinavia. And we were supposed to have, you know, the wind powered project
Turbines.
right off the coast of New Jersey, and that went south. So we know why that failed because somebody wants the nuclear power and fossil fuels to be in control. Big money. So, and of course, I could never say his name, the Republican candidate, Jack Giatelli, whatever it is, he was saying, we'll build nuclear plants. That's what we've got to do. And I had to laugh because New Jersey only has two nuclear plants, and they're both down the shore area in Salem County. Um, because of the fact that in order to run all of these things, you need the power grid and you also need a lot of water. And the water is accessed from the Atlantic Ocean. So affordability is a big issue. We had the oldest site, which was located in Ocean County, and that was the Oyster Creek site, the oldest nuclear plant in the whole country. It started operation in 1969, but it was shut down permanently in 2018. It used the water from the Barnegat Bay to cool the reactors. The ones in Salem County, the Salem nuclear generator and the Hope Creek generator, they had two minor accidents, but personally, I don't see anything as minor. It obviously wasn't a 3 Mile Island thing like PA, but one in 2004 and one in 2013 with a steam leak and a water leak, which is a matter of maintaining materials, which seems to be a big problem in this country, whether it be JCP&L with the power lines or in California with their power lines that caused that horrific fire in, what is it, Palisade City. Not maintaining equipment, taxing people for it, but not using that money for the maintenance and inspection of equipment. So it's a really big thing. So this is the new thing. Yeah, we're going to do nuclear power. The powers that be want it, but the affordability factor, the time factor, really? um, I think it's a matter of, I have to look here now, how much money? Oh, it would cost to construct a nuclear plant in New Jersey over over $10 billion. Construction time would be 8 to 15 years.
Whoa.
So that's unbelievable. What happened to Oyster Creek is that, again, the maintenance issue. And it was owned by several different corporations because nobody's ever in it because they want to help people. It's about making money. And they had the license to operate it until 2029. However, they had studies and environmental groups that said it's unsafe for a 20-year extension to 2029. They had to, with different laws, they needed to add cooling towers to be installed. The studies they were using, because it was going to happen, the studies that they had were 30 years old
Hmm.
that they used for the license renewal application. 30 years old. So they had outdated information, of course, subjective to get to push this ahead. When it was investigated by environmentalists and different groups, the decision was made to strike it down and said, no, we can't do it. And to repair it would have been billions of dollars. It wasn't feasible for it to happen then. And at that point, a company called Holtec purchased the plant. That was 2019, and the rights to decommission it. So it's basically little by little, it's being dismantled, and all these different elements that they need that are there that aren't being used. They have to deconstruct it. Well, there's a new little plan going on, Hercules. And Politico, I love them.
Mhm.
Politico and Daily Kos are great news corporations that are basically not funded by anyone except contributions. And of course, now they're aid and there's so much being done to stop people from making contributions to these .orgs, to these nonprofits, because that's what they are. They want truth. They found info related to New Jersey lawmakers introducing a bill, and it's called the New Jersey Energy Security and Affordability Act. Now, are you ready for this? It's being presented as a bill intended to help meet growing energy demands. Okay. And then if you read all the different things there, you'll see particularly AI data centers. This is what it's about. So they are looking, Holtec, that purchased this plant that they've been sitting on, they're looking to begin construction by the end of 2024, connect the plant to the grid. No, 2027, forgive me there, and connect it to the grid by 2031. Where is this money coming from? Like, where are they going to get this money from?
There's no explanation of where they plan on getting the money from, or
Well, no, it's all very hush hush. The whole thing is very, very hush hush. I don't think they even wanted this bill to come out I don't think they really wanted it to come out. And thank God with investigative journalism. And there are always people involved with projects that don't like what's going on and they will start singing. They will be the canaries. And I think
Right.
that's what happened. So they found out that that this is going ahead, and supposedly it's going to be so involved. It is going to be. They're saying it's going to be fueled by the nuclear power, like this whole little section there: nuclear power, solar power, wind power. Yeah, what happens? This is just their little write up. It doesn't mean it's going to happen that way. It's a proposition.
Right.
It's a proposal. So we'll see what happens. Just like I was reading somewhere about Rick Perry, who used to be the head of, under Trump, he was energy department. Well, he is, let's see if I can find it here now. Oh, yeah. He is the former head of the Department of Energy. He's pushing to develop the world's largest data center, an energy complex near Amarillo, Texas. The project is referred to as Project Matador. It's intended to be powered by a mix of nuclear, natural gas, solar, and wind. 6,000 acres, Hercules.
Wow.
The largest one, not in the United States, the world. It,
Wow.
it will have 4 nuclear reactors. Of course, he is involved with a major firm. It's a private equity, it's his own firm, and he's going to be making big money. And there's always wheeling and dealing. Well, where is he getting the money? Because his own firm doesn't have the money. He is making a
Investors. Yeah.
pitch to people in the Department of Energy to get money for this. Hey, so there's a lack of revenue. He's looking for loans and he is lobbying folks like crazy at the energy department. There are a lot of environmental concerns. People are worried. I mean, 6,000 acres. Um, Texas is not the kind of land where they have a massive amount of water. So you start talking about water usage for something for 4 nuclear reactors because it means the energy grid and the water to cool it. So where are they going to get it from? And how are they going to get it? And who's going to pay the price? Really interesting, all these little things going on.
And who's going to monitor the effects of
Ah, uh,
what they're
and these
doing?
these AI data centers, we've talked about that before, about the plans to build a big one in New Jersey. Then there's, down south, and now we find out about his. And we have to be concerned because there's a corporation called Palantir who is making money hands over fist. Hands over fist. I'm talking, I forgot how many billion in one quarter. This is the third quarter. Big money. And what are they involved with? AI data. And he's also the person that runs the show with Palantir is Peter Thiel. And we know about him. Peter Thiel is a billionaire, good friends to Elon Musk, born in Germany, came over. He has like 3 different citizenships: German, from New Zealand, and United States. He also lived in South Africa, which is probably where he got his connection with Elon Musk. Big, big, big money, big, big plans, and he's very involved with the government now in terms of data. And there is big concern over the way this data is going to be used because he is libertarian. He is very, very ultra conservative. He is very pro Trump and will do anything big money, donated to his campaign, big, big, big money. And the way he's made the money right now were government contracts. So I would be very concerned about data right now and how it's being used and privacy factor.
Yeah, this is America, so wealth was never demonized. It was something that you aspire to, even spiritually, for a lot of people. That your wealth is a reflection of the favor of the divine in your life. So, uh, not that wealth should be demonized, but we've also always believed in the role of the middle class and the common.
Yes,
That
yes.
so we're individuals, we have independence, we're free thinkers, and we yearn for liberty and freedom. And it seems like the worship of money and those who have it is becoming proportionally more prevalent than the respect for the individual and what the individual contributes to their society. And I find that concerning.
Most definitely. And there was a really great article in the Times, a financial area, that talks about Palantir playing a growing and important role in national security operations. In its infancy, the company was nurtured by a venture capital firm founded by the CIA. It made news this year by helping the Trump administration collect and compile personal information on millions of Americans. It's gotten its attention for its work for U.S. military and intelligence agencies, police forces, customs and immigration, as well as many corporations to spy on employees. They are committed to ensuring the military supremacy of other friendly sources and forces. But they've also been in the news for reasons that executives dislike. Skeptical investors, amongst them Michael Burry, the hedge fund manager profiled in the movie The Big Short, have bet that while Palantir is churning out big profits, it's grossly overvalued by the market and its shares will fall. So some of them are winding down the hedge fund and returning money to investors. And a lot of it has to do with principles. Peter Thiel was the founder of PayPal and an early Trump supporter. And he was also a Planet Palantir's founder and remains its chairman. There is a lot of patriotic comments, a lot of control factors. They're committed to the founding mission of supporting the U.S. government. But what does that mean in terms of the U.S. government? Obviously, not the people. Excuse me. So there are a lot of issues here in terms of Palantir's growth.
So
And
I don't remember exactly the story, but the Palantir was a device in Lord of the Rings that was used to spy on people from far away, if I remember.
yes, and that was one of his favorite books, and he said he read it 10 times. Obviously, a controlling person. And I just find it interesting because you look at these three controlling people, Musk, Peter Thiel, Trump, and you look at their upbringing, whereas they had very dominant fathers. Um, I had even read that Peter Thiel, when he was in some of these schools that were very Germanic, they had to wear little Nazi uniforms. So you have to wonder about the control factor. And here we go. What a great intro, Hercules. The father son relationship. That thing of wanting to please the father, the belittlement to make them an abuse, verbal and physical abuse with some children, the father with some children, in order to get them to conform and to buckle under and do what they need to do to be successful. to be a man per se, according to their standards. So you really wonder sometimes, like, is it a generational thing that just gets propagated? I remember somebody saying to me, well, my father wasn't much of a father to me. He didn't know how to interact. He never said I loved you or any of that. And I said, well, a lot of that depends on the generational backgrounds, that it didn't just happen overnight, it's been perpetuated. And there was a point when fathers didn't have the time to be a parent, they were busy working. They didn't have the car way back when. They had to get to and from work. I remember my grandma saying my grandpa, when he came here, had to take I don't know how many buses to work to get to his job.
Hmm.
So they really were basically absent fathers. And then it gets perpetuated. How do you expect the son of an absent father to be a father or to know how to be a father? And really, I mean, how many generations has it been, do you think, where fathers had a very active role? And I'm talking this country particularly because I know when I was in Europe, it was a different situation. And as well, like with Greece, the fathers were very present and very active and very loving and demonstrative. The ones I knew were when I was there. So, and maybe you can't generalize, but I'm just saying from observations from traveling or families that were here that I knew.
Yeah, oh, but the absent father is known in Greek culture and Greek mythology too, because some people made their living with the sea, some
Right.
made their living by traveling around, so they weren't very much at home, or they worked in fields and things like that, which
So I would say, really, basically, that only the past few generations where you saw it happen. And I heard a friend of mine remark say that I make sure I tell my son that I love him. I make sure I let him know that he matters and what he does matters, that he doesn't have to please me. And I said, well, there are changes. Here we go, transitions, changes. We either learn from our mistakes or the way we were treated, or we repeat it, either or. It's one or the other. And using that as a springboard, let's go into why do we keep remaking Frankenstein? Guillermo del Toro. And Guillermo del Toro, amazing, amazing director. He says it is to ask if we ever can forgive those who created us. This film has to be amazing. I was reading about it. It was a great article in the Times Color section about the most original story in literature and how it is just never ending, always made into films. This obsession with this film that came from a book, from a pale girl of 18 with
Mary,
bright blaze of hair. It's just amazing. Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin Shelley. It's
yes.
amazing, isn't it? Now, you said you saw the movie.
Yeah, Athena and I saw the movie recently. It was very, very good. They had the movie from the a point of view of the creator Victor Frankenstein, and then they had the movie from the point of view of the creation,
Mm.
and it was very powerful and very well done.
How different was it from the previous Frankensteins?
It was recognizable as a Frankenstein story, but it was just very different. They made the monster a lot more intelligent than most versions of Frankenstein do. It was very similar to Penny Dreadful. Remember Penny Dreadful, the series, and how they had an intelligent Frankenstein monster?
Okay.
So here too, the monster was very human, more human than his creator, it seemed, uh, based on some of the things that he did.
Mm. Well, it says here that the creature appears in at least 400 films. That's amazing.
Yes.
And here is another one from Guillermo del Toro, Oscar winning director of The Shape of Water. It is the movie he has been trying to make his entire career. He calls it my Everest. Every movie I've done is the training wheels for this one. And I just thought it was amazing. And Athena mentioned that he had a room that he worked in that was totally covered with Frankenstein memorabilia,
Yes.
statues, posters. I mean, it's amazing. And that's where he just engulfed himself in this. And I just found that so amazing. So, of course, I'm totally enraptured with this story. The article that got into detail talked about the basis of the novel and how they were all the little buddies got together. There they are in Switzerland. Heavy rains forced a group of friends to huddle indoors at the Villa Diodati. To amuse themselves, they competed to see who can come up with the most terrifying tale.
Yes.
And of course, who was in it? Lord Byron, Percy Shelley, Mary Shelley, with her little infant there, and how this woman came up with the story, this tale of a young scientist intent upon discovering the secret of life. He collects body parts from the charnel houses, stitches them together, and by mysterious means animates his creation. She filled 11 notebooks. 11 notebooks. And it's a book full of rain, storms, electricity. It's just unbelievable. It's made up of three separate autobiographies that she weaves together, like a set of Russian dolls, of the sea explorer Robert Walton, the scientist Victor Frankenstein, and Victor's creature. And there she began with the sea, with Robert, who embarked on an expedition to the North Pole, comes across Victor, battered and close to death.
Yes. That's how the movie runs.
Really? And it said he's been hunting and trying to kill his creature. But it's the creature's account, his eloquence, that lies at the heart of the book.
And the
The
movie.
beginning of his consciousness, for the first time in literature, like a memoir of an infant. And he narrates how his senses were at first delirious, muddled, how he identified them, how he learned to name things. He realizes he's alone and different. He pleads for a companion, and Victor eases loneliness. He agrees, and of course, just can't so revulsed by the whole thing. He tears the female's body parts to pieces. Mad with grief, the creature destroys nearly every person Victor loves. And at the end of the novel, Victor dies on the ship. And the creature comes aboard, mourning him, wandering away to prepare his own funeral pyre. Isn't it amazing? It's been hailed as a revolutionary and reactionary, a
Right.
feminist yet misogynist story. It's interpreted as thinly veiled autobiography because she's had so many situations, but it's been described as a book about fathers and sons.
Yes, the Victor's father was very abusive toward him and preferred his younger brother.
Right.
And Victor, in his treatment of the monster, the creature, you could see that he was influenced by how he was raised by his own father.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And it says it's just so unbelievable with him the way he put this together, even with some things in his own life where I think his father had won the lottery and the wife, original wife, supposedly died, and he was always very sad, and he was in this situation again. The fact that there's an absence of a mother, which is really interesting as well. So
Right.
it's the male bonding and the father, but also the control, the revulsion, the wanting of, here we go, of the people that I mentioned before, the power structure, and wanting to please the father and wanting the father to do things, and the father not happy with this way the son has turned out, very much akin to some fathers with their sons. That constant push and pull, love and hate relationship. Very, very interesting.
And the constant criticism and the constant comparison and the constant
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
they did that phenomenally well inside the movie. It's been years since I read the book. I think I was in high school when I read the book, and now I'm in my late 60s. So it's been a while since that happened. But the movie I saw recently, I enjoyed it a great deal.
Wow. Well, Del Toro saw the 31 film, and he was a child, of course, at that point. So many of kids are like so into like the monster madness. And when Karloff's face was filled, it just fills the screen, and you have to say, cinematography. I saw the other week, and being an art person, the it was like a film noir, though, the close-up shots, the black and white, it was amazing. And he said, oh my gosh, when he saw Karloff's face, he was transfixed. So he saw in himself the creature's innocence and awkwardness, the ill-fitting suit. He was totally transfixed. And much has been written about that particular production itself, that it was a group of outsiders that put that together. And they might have encoded their own alienation into the film. Many of them were immigrants. The director was gay. Karloff himself concealed his Anglo Indian ancestry. So Del Toro felt like an outsider too. He said he was bullied mercilessly for growing up blonde and wispy. And here he was, like little Lord Fauntleroy in Guadalajara, Mexico.
Mhm.
So he obsessively drew sanctified imperfection in monsters. And there was some type of a beauty to it. It made it acceptable to be different. That's the thing. It was acceptable to be different and to recognize a part of ourself in the monster. Wow. So here you are. You could see yourself, particularly for men, it has to be interesting, seeing yourself as a son and, imperfect, or those awkward, gangly age, that period of growing up. And then to see yourself as a father now, at the opposite side of the coin.
Yeah, I'm a grandfather twice over now, so that
And that's got to be completely different
it is completely
from the
different.
other two.
I love it. It's a role that I really love being in.
Oh, it's, there isn't that, how can I put it, that responsibility. It's a type of love that you can shower and maybe even relive memories, or redo the film and make the film better. I don't know, it could very well be. I don't know. I don't have grandchildren, so I have no idea. But I love this. It says here, in his film, Victor is dazzled by his creation in the beginning. He flings open the shutters and lets light fall on the creature's body. He demonstrates how to take in the warmth. He said, look at the sun, look at the sun. But there you go. It's also using that word, sun, as SON. And it's later he grows frustrated with the creature. He doesn't learn fast enough. He whimpers. The brain capacity isn't what he was hoping for.
Yep.
And he will mock him, taunt him, beat him. But not yet. It's in that first meeting he touches his creature with wonder. And this had to be amazing for a Del Toro, because this is so different from his other films. All of his other Williams are the beautiful man in a nice suit, the one with the short part in his hair, the shiny boots. He torments the vulnerable within reach. He has this threat that looms larger, but now we're looking at how you have to contain fear or conceal weakness can be an impulse towards power and control. It's just wow. Here we are to feel the effort to embody both father and son more completely, to sympathize with both of them.
And that is a powerful place to finish today's discussion because we run out of time. Astrid, how can people get a hold of you if they want to enter your world more than this podcast allows?
To contact you, and I will gladly, contact them, either by email, whatever. But yeah, it's always great to hear other people's point of view, or if we've touched them in a way to see something that either communicates new information or to want to do something about things, and obviously we've seen how that transition can work just by what happened this last election day.
Right.
So, a time of transition, we have more coming. We have the winter solstice. The best thing to do now is to start thinking about all these things and what they mean to us and where we're going to go with them. How can we make some resolution in our lives?
Very powerfully said. And again, I want to thank you for your insights, for your stories, and for all the knowledge that you weave into a tapestry and tie things together. And I want to thank those who listened in. Until next time, this is us wishing you joyous journeys and amazing adventures. And thanks again, Astrid.
Oh, many thanks to you and to our listeners as well.
And give my love to your family and happy.
And yours as well. Happy Thanksgiving. Yes, gratitude. There we go.
And I'm grateful for this time we have together.
Most definitely.
Okay, good night, everybody. Take good care.